My friend, is it that time? You know, the time that nobody likes to talk about, the time that maybe you are starting to see the writing on the wall, that it may be time for you to leave the job that you've been at. If that's where you're at, this video is for you. Okay, Vanessa here, and this is Still Rising. I talked a bit about some trauma yesterday and a little bit about my channel's name and whatnot, but I wanted to take some time to talk about a subject that I don't really hear a lot of people talk about too much, at least. My parents spoke to me about it a little bit, and that's never leave a job before you have another job. And I used to be like, yeah, yeah, whatever, what if they don't know because, they don't know if you're in a toxic work environment, or myself at least. They didn't know if I was in a toxic work environment, or, maybe I just got tired of being somewhere. Either way, turns out they were right. I have really messed myself up in ways where I've had to start over. And that's part of my channel, as I have mentioned before. As I'm still rising, I have still made mistakes and I'm still continuing to learn from those mistakes. One of them being leaving a job before I was ready financially, before I had a backup plan. Okay. So that was before, and this is now. So about 2 years ago, I took a leap from a job that I'd been at for like 8.5 years. I had slowly worked my way up, and I was an operations manager when I finally decided to leave the company. I had wanted that position very much, but at the same time, once I got it, I was met with so much, I guess, unhappy people about my position, which, if you think about it, it shouldn't bother you, right? And I tried to take that route for a long time. I think I tried that for like 6 months until I was like, no, like that's not working. If anything, it's just making me miserable. And I still have to go in every day and deal with these people, right? So then about 6 months after I got the role, and I was like, tried everything, tried to do above and beyond. I tried to have decent conversations with people and make my way there and whatnot. And it just was for nothing. I just felt like it didn't matter how much I did. It didn't matter how much I changed, how much I tried to turn something from a negative into a positive. It was always going to be like that because of the atmosphere and the kind of workers and environment that we had. It was okay that some people acted like that with attitudes because maybe they were contributing something that the some other people didn't want to have to pick up the slack for, which is unfortunate. And gosh, I would never want that to be in that position again because it was so uncomfortable for a long time. And I think that eventually it started affecting my home life. And I think that that's when I, realized about 6 months after I got the role that it just wasn't enough. That having the money, having the title, having the position, doing everything I was doing, and then, overworking myself, one, two, neglecting my kids a little bit because I had to get help with picking them up from school and doing other things instead of actually, doing anything else. So, unfortunately, okay, as I was saying, I have had to answer a work text, but I was saying that after everything I was doing and missing out on my kids, I just had to do a cost analysis. And to me, missing out on important time with them, being home, not having the, energy to be with them, or even the patience, it was a lot. So I would just rather I made that decision back at that time that I was going to look for something else, which I did. But it wasn't easy. I would say I crafted several resumes up, and tailored them specifically to jobs that I wanted. And it was a little disheartening, I would say, because a lot of the jobs just weren't financially at the level I wanted. And, why would I take another job that was paying less than what I was making? Because I had worked really hard and I'm a good worker, that I deserved the wage that I was getting. So, yes, very disheartening going on interviews, telling my work, using sick time for whatever I needed to, which was interviews or phone interviews or, whatever I could actually get at the time. And it didn't actually happen until about 6 months after that. I got a call from a company and it was awesome because they were willing to pay me a lot more money than what I was currently making. And it seemed like a lot less work for me. So, I mean, win-win situation, right? How could it go wrong? So I say this to tell you that gone is the time where, the boomers stuck at one job for like 30 years and they got this nice retirement and all that. That's not the workforce that I've ever been a part of. And I've had to do different things in different times in my life. Also, as I mentioned in previous, videos, I had a tough time and I've had to start over quite a bit. So, meaning I wasn't always the best decision maker and got the best of my choices, I guess, at the end of the day. I would never take it back because I think that I learned a lot from everything. But in that, I would say that craft a plan. Don't quit out of anger. I know that's really hard, but the most defiant thing that you can do is to do it on your freaking terms. You don't need to do it on their terms. You don't need some environment making you uncomfortable to make you go out on their terms. Because I feel that those types of people that work at those environments are used to getting away with that kind of behavior and it kind of allows for it, right? So why give them the satisfaction of quitting before you have something better, And not only that, it feels freaking amazing to then say, wow, guys, I'm leaving for a better opportunity. So, even that, even if you didn't have a better opportunity, why not say that? Get something equivalent to, if you can do without, get something less. If you can't, wait, hold out for something more, but don't quit before that happens. I know it's like counterintuitive, and I'll tell you, like, part of my badass furry soul is that way where I just want to stick it to the person in a way. And part of that was saying, "Hey, I waited this long for 6 months to get an interview, finally got another job, and then I was out of there within, I think, yeah, within a year. I quit exactly. My last day was a year from the day I had started that position. And not to say that I wasn't happy with getting the opportunity because I worked my butt off for it. So I deserved it. I just didn't feel that it was worth sticking around in that kind of toxic environment, knowing that the kind of culture and company is okay with putting, you know, the extra work in as long as it suits the customer. And to me, I'm not a profit before people person. I never have been and I never will be. So I'm not going to do that to myself. So I encourage you not to do that either. Anyways, like and subscribe, comment if you're in a similar situation. I can totally relate. I've been through it a couple times. I'm also going through it something similar right now. I'm looking into some classes and doing something different on to try and get myself something different. And it's not impossible. It's doable. You can do this. I'm doing it. I've done it successfully. And I know I'm going to do it again. Bye.